Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. We are in week 4 of our module, of our class. You can see the text, but had audio problems with the music. Okay, all right. I know that right now there's a lot of issues going on with the internet, and there's in Oklahoma. I don't know if you're in Oklahoma, but they've got a lot of fires everywhere. So there's some issues with electricity to some of the buildings. So that might be the problem. All right. So we will cover week 4. All right. So everybody get out their simple sentence, present tense paperwork. And I'm not sure how much you guys have followed on the internet, but I'll go over them. And these are the steps for simple sentence present tense paperwork. I will go over them, and they're not going to make sense until I show you the examples that I have presented. But just listen to us and just follow along. And like I said, these will make sense when I start showing the conjugations of our words. All right, so we're conjugating in the present tense. What's happening now? And the reason why I go over these is to help instill everything that's happening on here, and repetition helps you remember. So first we drop the ETV on and we're conjugating the infinitive verb. We drop the ETV, we L-grade the verb stem, we lengthen the final vowel of the verb stem. If the final vowel is a V, change it to an A unless it's followed by MK, NK, or T. If it is, leave it as V. The rest of the final vowels, place a long mark over it. And right here, number 3, we add the person marker. So last week, we had the person marker I, because we were talking about I. This week, we are going to, at the end of the class, we will go to it, which is you. And next week, we will go to the symbol, which is Z. Nothing, there's no marker for he, she, it, or they. So we put that symbol, especially when we're trying to learn, to know that there's a marker there for the he, she, it, or they. But we're not getting to that this week. And then number 4, add the declarative ending, S or ES. The way you learn how to add, which one you add, is if there's already a vowel, you don't add another vowel next to it because that creates a diphthong, and we don't do that. So you would just, if there's a vowel, you just add the S. If it's not, then you add the ES. Okay, present tense conjugation, like I said, this is repetitious, but it helps us to remember. Step 1, drop the ETV to get the verb stem. Step 2, grade the verb stem, L-grade the verb stem, lengthen the final vowel of the verb stem. If the final vowel is a V, change it to an A, unless it is followed by MK, NK, or T. If it is, leave it a V. The rest of the vowels get a long mark over it. L-grade means lengthen, so you lengthen the final vowel of the verb stem. L-grade shows the tense. So if you're L-grading, the MVM turns to MAM. The final vowel and the last vowel, the final vowel and the last vowel in a verb stem would be, if it was MVM, it would turn to MAM. The final vowel can also be the only vowel in the verb stem. And we had, and I think we'll go over this again, ayeta is to go, and the V turns to A, so you will see what we're talking about on this. The V becomes an A unless it's followed by MK, NK, or T. All the other vowels will be lengthened by adding the long mark over the final vowel. So you see A, I, O, E. Can you guys see that? I'm going to make sure that I'm sharing the right stuff. Okay, sorry. So this is what we're talking about. I'm trying to make sure that I have this on there. The audience here can see it, but I'm trying to make sure that we share it on. So these are the present tense conjugation rules that we're going over right now. So right here, like I said, we've already went through A, I, O, E. We will put a long mark over it. Step 3, we add the person marker, I, it, or nothing. Person marker shows who's doing the action. I is the first person marker, it means I. It is the second person marker, which means you. And the third person does not have a marker, that's why we have the symbol. No person marker means a third person. So if you're going through and you're reading something and you see that there's no I or it, you know it's he, she, it, or they. You just kind of have to know that. And like I said, when we're conjugating and when you're learning, you just put the symbol knowing that that's basically a placeholder. Okay, third person does not have a marker. The third person translated literally in English would be he, she, he, they, and it in the singular. They can mean many or one. If you use they, say if you're conjugating something and since we're doing the singular, you put the SNG on it since we're making only right now, we're making singular sentence. Step 4, add the declarative ending, S or ES. These declarative endings are also period. They mean am, are, and is. Right. And here are the step-by-step translation. So just grab your simple sentence paperwork and you can, this is basically, this is what we just went over, but I'm doing it line by line. So you can get a little bit of idea of what these rules mean and how you implement it. So you see Ayeda, to go. You drop the ETB and you see that it's underlined right here. I'll make sure I'm sharing here. Screen share. There we go. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I got the right one. Okay, so Ayeda, to go, you drop the ETB and creates the verb stem. So this right here is the verb stem. Okay, and then the Y, okay, it says the Y is the final vowel, but I needed to finish it. This actually the V is the final vowel right here. So the V is the final vowel. That's why in our notes, it says if V is the final vowel, change it to an A unless it's followed by MK, NK, or T. If it is, leave it a V. The rest of the final vowels get a mark over. That's why this one right here, because the V is the final vowel. And like I said, just change that in your notes because it's not Y, the V is the final vowel. That's why it changes to an A. Because of our notes. The V becomes an A unless it's followed by MK, NK, or T. Right here, as in our notes, you add the person marker. So right there, the I is the person marker because that's what we're talking about, I. And then you add the declarative ending, which means am, are, or is, and also S means the period at the end of a sentence. That's how you get from Ayeda to go to AS. Right here. So this right here is a full complete sentence. You see your verb stem? Okay. Well, let me know if you can't see because I have the tendency to stand here and teach. So, all right. So this is where you see the verb stem, and this is how it changed. This is the person marker right here, and you see that it just, I put the arrows and I also color code for my own reference because I'm really visual. You see the S is the declarative ending. It means am, are, and is. You also see the period at the end of the sentence. So this is the final, basically the final sentence. I am going. This is, we're just going over the previous. We're going over the previous week. All right. Okay, yeah, this is the first class of this week. So I had him. I made copies, and there's some things I didn't make copies, so I had him make it. That's why there's two different handouts there. Okay. All right. And like I said, we've already gone over some of these, but I'm just reviewing. So this is let me go to another one first. This is it. Just to let you know, Google Drive is being really crabby today. So you see me go back and forth, you know that she's having a little issues today. It might be because it's Friday, I'm not sure. All right, home base, step by step. So you go from humbada right here to eat. And we're gonna go through the steps as well. So look at the paper and follow along. And I also wrote the notes on the side so you can make it easier. You drop the ETV and you get the verb stem. This is the verb stem right here. And then according to our notes, we grade the verb stem. And the final vowel gets a long mark over it. That's where that comes from. Okay. And then after that, we add the person marker, which is right here. We add the I because we talk about I. And on the steps, you have the S right here, which means am, are, is, and it also means the period because it's the end of the sentence. So you go from to eat to I am eating, home base. Right? So you see the verb stem, you see the person marker, and you see the declarative ending, which is S and the period. So you go from humbada to home base. All right. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that is our that shows our steps. Let's go to, let's see, class 2. Oops, they got it all not in order today. Go up. All right, so what I've done is I've conjugated, and we're going to go, like I said, a little bit further today. So right here, it's get up, to drink. You see that? To drink. We get the verb stem. You see right here, we drop the ETV to get the verb stem, and then ESK is our verb stem. So you see that according to our rules, E is the final vowel, so that's why we put it a long mark over the E. I was told by one of the Mvhayvs that the long mark over it just means a little bit of a longer concentration on that vowel, unless it's the E, and that's when it changes from I to E. But that's the only one that I was told that it changes the sound. Otherwise, you just put a little bit more emphasis on that. E is the final vowel. You've got the I right here. You add the person marker. And then add the S, which is the declarative ending. Am, are, is, and period. And you see that it ends in I, so you would not add the ES. That's why we just add the S. And so, iskes. Verb stem, ESK, person marker, the I, the S, am, are, is, and the period, so iskes. All right. Is that making sense?
Yes.
I know it takes a lot to keep practicing. You got to keep practicing, and you got to keep looking at it. And that's one of the things with language is you have to keep involved in it. Keep looking over your notes. Keep practicing, and keep your mind and everything in the Mvskoke mindset and the language, and just try to practice every day, even if it's just the sounds like your dog's name, Eva, Eve, just something so easy, and just to keep your mind in the Mvskoke mindset. And so this I created to help break it down a little bit easier too. You see drinking, and then you see the I, and then the S, the period M. So to me, I got all excited when I learned this because now I know what each little thing of this means. Because some people teach, and I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just I didn't learn just to look at something and just say, oh, to drink, this is what it means, I am drinking. Now you get to break it down a little further and know why it says that, because this one little thing right here is I. And this one little thing right here is am, and it's a period. So this part right here is drinking. So to see it all put together, it made it so exciting because I finally knew what everything meant. Not just say, oh, this is what this means, and just, take their word for it. Now I can figure it out and break it down a little bit easier. And that made it exciting to me. And as you see, I did the translations. The Mvskoke word, Mvskoke. The literal translation into English, which, or you can say Yoda speech, drinking I am. And then the English translation is I am drinking. All right. Does that make it a little easier when I break it down step by step? Like I said, it got me excited to know, oh my gosh, this is actually making sense. And I can see where everything lines up. Okay. There goes again. Make sure I'm sharing the correct stuff online. Screen share. There we go. All right, so hijra, to see. You see, we go by our rules again. To see, you drop the ETV, you get the verb stem, HEC. You put the long mark over the E, and because it's the final vowel, you add your person marker, which is the I. You add the S and the period. So the S and the period means am, are, is, the period. PJs. So you see right here the verb stem again. Like I said, I do color coding because it helped me to keep everything in line. Verb stem, the person marker, the declarative ending, PJs. And you see you go from hijra to PJs. I am seeing. And at the end of the class, we will put this into sentences from our previous vocabulary. So if you forget about the previous one, we are trying to use nothing but vocabulary words that we have already learned. That's why I got the vocabulary that I had, because I knew we were gonna eat, we were gonna drink, and we were gonna make. Like I said, it's like I said, another breakdown. So you see that this word we just conjugated, that part, that black part means is seeing. That is I and am. I know, like I said, repetition helps. The translation is PJs. Mvskoke, seeing I am. English translation, I am seeing. So everything is starting to make sense, everything, all right. All right, come on, there you go. She's moving a little slow today. And I've got Kathada step-by-step translation, but I want to make sure that we get everything covered today. So let me go to these. So you see how we got from our infinitive verb, hijra, to see to PJs. So now we were able to make simple sentences from our previous vocabulary. This one. We go sabka chugo is. I am going to church. So you know what is means. Mvskoke is church. So I am going to church. Church, I am going. I guess I could broke it down a little bit easier, but it could be because this is church, I am going. Right here, Taplegi, Hayes, I am making bread. Bread, I am making. So now you know how Hayes translate to I am making. And then you just put one of our vocabulary words right there, and you've got another sentence. I am making bread. You can also put, I'm making, I think the next one, Wagabizi. Wagabizi Taplegi Hayes. I am making cheese. So that's how, when I say that we build on the previous lesson, is that we're using our vocabulary words. I'll make sure I'm sharing the right one again. I don't want to leave anybody out. Okay, so you see how our previous vocabulary words are working with what we just learned. Great dumplings I am making. And then the English translation is I am making great dumplings. Ilukwa mises. I am buying gum. And these are our vocabulary words from our alphabet or sound, Mvskoke sounds. Ilukwa mises. And right here, Finwa mises. I am buying turkey. Aji mises. I am buying corn. So what I challenge you guys to do is to try to make some of these simple sentences for our next class, and then we can share. Just so you know that that these steps work, but then also gives you that practice to try. Also online, I challenge you to try it. Just you don't have to share it online, but it'll give you that repetition and that practice to do it. Oh, there it is. Okay. And here's some more of our simple sentences. Taklek Sakmovki, home base. I am eating fried bread. Taklek Sakmovki is fried bread. Home base. I am eating. So I am eating fried bread. Chadahaga home base. I am eating blueberry. So those of you who know about Chadahaga, I am eating. I am eating blueberry. A busky, iskis. I am drinking corn drink. And then Wagabizi, iskis. I am drinking milk. Kolosi, Aegis. I am seeing chicken. And that's one of those things where that A is in parentheses, I'm seeing a chicken. Sometimes there are some things in our Mvskoke language where there's not a word for everything. I know that there's probably a sentence that I can make where it says, I am seeing a chicken, but right now you still know something. So I don't know if you've heard some of the elders, sometimes when they speak English like this, I am seeing chicken, or I am seeing finwa, I'm seeing turkey, because that's how they translate it from Mvskoke to English. And you also hear that from other people who are learning other languages. They don't have sometimes everything there, but sometimes in some of these languages there's not a direct word to correlate it. Ito hijis. I'm seeing, and that's why I put in there in parentheses a tree. I am seeing tree. Oklegida hijis. I am seeing a chair. Mvskoke Opanaga Kipes. I am learning the Mvskoke language. All right, does anybody have any questions so far?
Where does a lot go and I'm eating blue bread? I guess I'm confused, like how it did.
Okay. The cornmeal. See, I think it's up.
It's the second.
Oh, it's the second. There it is. Right here? That's the name of the bluebird. Chadahaga. But it could be, if you're If you didn't know that it was called Chittahogga, you can call it blue bread, so lucky, not leggy. But that's the name of the blue bread. Is
So
Chittahogga.
it has.
It has an actual name. Good question. Yeah. All right. Does anybody online have a question? Everything good? All right. If you have any questions, you can unmute your mic, you can ask a question, or you can feel free to type it in chat. All right, Mado. It's on. So is this starting to make sense? Like I said, these are simple sentences that you now know how to get from the infinitive to I am doing something, to add another one for vocabulary words. I am eating Dolosi. I am eating Pagana, which is peaches. Peach. So now we've got at least that under our belt. We can make those simple sentences. Okay. And now we are going to step-by-step translation for let's see, make sure. Okay, yeah, for second person. We'll also use the same rules. So get your paper out or refer back to the simple sentence present tense, because we are now doing the second person. So second person is get up, to drink. You drop the ETV. It's almost the same. It's almost the same. You've got your verb stem here, ESK. You put your long E right there, according to our rules. You put the long mark over the E. And since we are not doing I, we're doing it, you. You are cooking. You are doing something. That's why we add the ETSK, it. Does that make sense? I see some faces, okay. But like I said, we'll go over it. You guys will see it a little bit more, and it should make sense. But like I said, challenge yourself to practice on some of the ones that I didn't show today, and just to see if it lines up. And then if you have any questions on our next class, just bring it in here and we'll go over it. And so after you add the person marker, which normally we had been doing I, we're doing it. So now you add the ES because that is a consonant. We add the ES. If it was a vowel, then we would just add S. So, okay. This is where I have a little bit of problem because I haven't said these words at all. Isketskes. 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 And I do have the speaker speaking it, but I will I will show it to you. It's just, those of us who are learning, it's kind of a tongue twister because our mouths are used to speaking English every day, and when we're trying to flip to Mvskoke, it's not all the English rules. So you see the ESK is the verb stem, the ETSK, it is you, the person marker, and you see the ES is the declarative ending, am, is, and it's also the period. It's gets. And it's harder sometimes to say it slow, for me anyway. So that in itself is the whole word, the conjugated word for you. You are drinking. And like I said, I've got another slide here to show you the complete translation. It is. Drinking, you are. Does that help when I conjugate it out like this? Drinking, you are. And I also, like I said, I have to do color coding because it helps me to stay on track. So the translation is iskeskes. Literal translation, drinking, you are. English translation is you are drinking. All right. Does anybody have any questions? There's a question here. All right. Thank you, Mr. Griffith. All right. So that's starting to make a little sense. It's basically the same rules, but different person. So instead of I'm doing it, you are doing it. Next week, like I said, we're going to move on to he, she, it, they. But so it's once you get the rules it's starting to be pretty good. It's just you need the only thing that changes is who you're talking about. You know, I, you, she, he. All right. Digita to see. And you see the rules. You drop the ETV, you get the verb stamp, HEC. According to our rules, that's the last vowel, gets a long mark over it. And then you add the person marker, you. You add the declarative marker right here, ES, which also means am, are, is, or period. So you got the verb stem, you've got the person marker, and you got the declarative ending, Ejitskis. And like I said, my pronunciation is a little different than the speakers. And like I said, I have it on recording, you can hear it. We'll listen to the speaker in a few minutes. And she makes it sound so flawless and just like somebody who's who's a professional at whatever they do. They make it look so easy or sound so easy, but we're getting there. And this is Ejitskis. All right. Oh, I keep forgetting. There you go. Person. Complete translation. Here we go. Complete translation. Like I said, I'm trying to show you guys as easy as I can to break it down, and I show you in different formats. So maybe it would stick at least on one of the formats. You know, oh wow, it finally clicks. This is the way I learned. Oh, wow. So this is why I do like repetition. Ejitskis, seeing you are. Translation. You got the Mvskoke word, the literal translation to English, seeing you are. And then you got you are seen. And that was in the sentences I just did was I am this. You can just change it to this word and just like I am seeing the tree. Ejitskis, I am seeing the tree. Ito is the tree. And that's, I think, in our Mvskoke sounds, the Mvskoke alphabet. And that's one of the vocabulary words that we have. All right. So I know we're getting to the end here. Let me go ahead, take a break for a second here, because I know that's a lot to take in. That's a lot of notes and a lot of words. So let's take a break here. And somebody did ask me about prayers. So on our Creek Okanaga, the Facebook that the Creek Nation has, they have some videos there. So you can see it.
Posti howi legichka. Mojaneta nagi allergy jigo munke. Jimmy Don iji takwejis. Ibo manages nagi istomit. Folahania asaka. Jipoji Jesus pujiska ofa. Jimbo hibis. Amen.
So they've got all of these things on there on Facebook. So if you guys, get it, have time, just go on there and see what they have. They have some of these prayers. Somebody asked me about the Lord's Prayer, and I will play it for you in a second here. Come on. Pause. Okay. I will play it for you here in a second. I'm going to make sure. Come on. Trying to make sure I share the screen. Here we go. So let's go to share. I want everybody to be able to see this. Okay. So this is the Lord's Prayer. And if you look at what they are saying, it's not word for word exactly from English, Lord's Prayer. Because in Mvskoke, sometimes there's no words, or sometimes one word will cover the whole meaning of everything. You can just sign in and grab a packet. But, so if you see, the literal translation, it's basically the same thing, but not the exact same. I just wanted to just point that out before we started this.
Jim,
Wait,
mukmingkilat alagigas.
wait. Come on.
Mayma kalwi nagi umitski
Come
normal.
on.
Either moment, yaman either na.
All right. Like I said, she's being cranky today. Okay.
Uski kalwi tehitska. Chihujifta ajagigas. Chimukmingkilat alagigas. Mayma kalwi nagi umitski normal. Either moment, yaman either na. Because Nita atakka kang layin mojanita omis. Moment umawita is ponwegas. A weekend isim wega dia either moment. Nagi onan kibeji dali is kifidan. Sibo hakitskas. Moments polwaka es lusejas. Umikidet kikchidet. Moment hakidet. Chinagi, Imogad, Omega. Amen.
So you see how it's the Lord's Prayer, but it's not the exact same words. It's that is the Mvskoke language. It has its own style, own rhythm, own feeling, and other languages, sometimes don't have the exact translation either. Goodness. Forget that it goes sometimes by itself. About YouTube, I'm still learning all of this new technologies, but you see how on the Lord's Prayer it doesn't go exact, and you basically it's an interpretation. But that is on our Facebook, our Creek Okanaga Facebook. There are prayers there. You just go on there, and does everybody have a Facebook? So you don't have a Facebook. We just go on to Facebook, and you have to have Facebook to get on there. I tried without it, but it wouldn't work. But you can actually search. I think they said they have 100, 200 little videos of different things. They also have stories on there. One of them is Joshua and the Big Fish. So there's a lot of things out there that can help us learn, and a lot of different resources. All right, let's get back to our translations. Like I said, I know that was a lot to give you guys, so let's go to our last one here. Ketara, to learn, to know, and this is the step-by-step translation. Ketara. So according to our rules, we drop the ETV, we create the verb stem. On the verb stem, you see that the vowel is lengthened, so you add the little marker over the vowel. Then the next step is add the person marker, it. And this part is the only part that changes on, I am doing, you are doing, or he, she, it are doing. So that, like I said, I'm trying to break it into modules. So this module is just doing these rules. And then you've got your ES, you add the M, is, and also means period. Kefetskis. Kefetskis. You have to sit there and I have to break it down to it. Kefetskis, because I don't use this, and I know, the more and more that I talk with some of the speakers, it's gonna get easier. Same thing with you guys, it might sound a little choppy, but just keep practicing. Just keep practicing. Kefetskis. You got your verb stem, you got your person marker, ETSK, you got your declarative ending, is, and also means period at the end of the sentence. Kefetskis. See if I can get the sound. I had the speaker speak it, so you will be able to hear it. I wasn't able to put it on the Google Drive yet.
Iskis, Iskitskis, Kijis, Kijitskis, Kifes, Kifitskis.
See, you see how the difference is? She's spoken Mvskoke all her life. We're learning. We don't quite have that sound, but we're getting there. So, as long as you're going forward, that's awesome. Just don't stop. Whatever you do, don't stop. Even if it's just a word or two. Mado, Humbada, I need to go Chukaji. Restroom. You go to restroom. You go Chukaji or Vegas. Little kids probably under Vegas. Stop that. As long as you're continually using our Mvskoke words, continually trying to think in Mvskoke, it will come. It's just those of us who live in the city and don't hear it very often, it's harder for us. Not saying we can't learn, but it's harder. You got to work that extra step to get that in your mind. I was talking to one of the speakers this week, and I was like, I am starting to think more Mvskoke. I'm going out to Walmart, I get something, and somebody helps me, and then there's no problem with saying Mado, but that's the first thing that comes to my mind, Mado. Then sometimes when I say it, I have to make sure that I speak it in English, so they won't think I'm, saying something bad. So I'll say, Mado, thank you. And as long as you're carrying that nice and friendly spirit, they're not going to think you're saying something ugly. Because I know sometimes when you're around people who are speaking something different, that they're talking about you because of the way that, you can feel that energy. Well, just, like I said, you're out to Walmart or go to Sonic, Mado, thank you. And then that's how I've been able to teach my little one, my grandchild. I was like, ooh, Kasapi, cold. So I say it in Mvskoke, and then I say it in English. So now she goes, ooh, Kasapi. And so I don't even have to say cold, because she already knows it. So just the little bitty steps going forward to learn and to keep practicing our Mvskoke is just another step forward. Like I said, it's going to be hard. And language is a lifetime of learning. Not only the words, but sometimes the meaning and the feeling. And like when we sing our song, you could feel that. You feel the strength and the power in the words. So does anybody have any questions? So I know that was a lot today. And like I said, the good thing is these same rules go for everything except for the person mark. So we're going to use these same rules next week, and we're going to change the person marker to he, she, it, they, whatever, I'm going to make up some more sentences. I will make up some sentences with it, which I was not able to do this time because we reviewed the I. But I will show you how it comes into play. It, you are cooking chili. You are cooking tocino, salt pork. So that's going to come into play. But I try to show you in more than one way the same thing. So if you can't grasp it this way, you can maybe grasp it another way. You guys got all your handouts. For those of you online, you can go on the Google Drive and download all the handouts and print them out. Make your notes. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in chat, or you can even give the office a call if you guys have any questions. I will, before we end, I will show you the books that I was referring to the other day. Is our dictionary. It's got some of our rules there. If you guys, I know you can get it from I think at Red Stick Gallery in Okmulgee. I think they do it online. I think you can also get it on Amazon. Seminole Nation Museum has it. This one as well. This one is a bit more expensive. I think at the Seminole Nation, I think it was like $75. But it's the grammar of Mvskoke. And I will leave it here. You guys can look at it, and you guys can take a look at it. It's hard to read and understand, but you can see these rules are in that book, and there's some of the rules in here. So that's where I'm getting this from. This is how I was taught. Like I said, I'm not a first learner, so I'm doing it by steps. almost like how you learn math. So, all right, if nobody has any questions, and that's all I got for you tonight. Any questions? Is this starting to make sense?
Yes.
It does make, oh, good. Yay. Okay. All right. All right. You see me the Google Drive link. Okay, yes. I am new to trying to do this, so I will try to get you the Google Drive link right here. Come on. There we go. Yay! All right, it should be there in the chat for you.
Hello.
All right, Inga, thank you for coming. I'll just stay on here a couple seconds so you can copy that link. But that's where all of our previous weeks are, our previous lessons, our handouts, and like I said, I try to make everything go step by step. And if you have any questions, you can always come to the next class and ask a question, or you can even call up the our office, our main number, and ask them questions. And I think also there is my email. They can give you my email. I have it somewhere. But so like I said, if you have any questions, you can call up in the office, and or you could just type in chat. All right. But no, thank you for coming. Just to say, Nam Chi Cha, please. See you later.
Hello.
All right. You got a question?
Hold on, cheeky chaffers.
Oh, okay. Nam Chi Cha, please. But